Hi, I'm Harper and this is Dylan. We're really excited to be here. Kind of as Kat mentioned, we build teams. We've been building teams for years and years, and it's been one of our great loves, working together and building teams. Like I said, thank you for having us. It's really humbling to be here. It's also a little bit scary. It's kind of an interesting identity to be some of the only men speaking at a women's tech conference. So fuck it, let's do it. So this is the title of our panel, and so we get this, Kat, of course we don't reply to any emails, and so Kat's like, how's this for a title? And we're just like, okay, this is great, we'll do this. And Kat, the funny thing about Kat is she emails me and she's like, Harper, we're doing this really good conference, I'm really excited, I'd love for you to be involved. And I'm like, yeah, I'll tweet. And she's like, no, I want you to be involved. This is over like a month-long process, and I'm just like, okay. She's like, I want you to speak, and I'm just like, I'm sure you can find some women to talk at a Women in Tech conference, and I'm sure like we're probably not the most typical people to talk at a Women in Tech conference. And she's like, no, really, like I want you to talk about being an ally. And this is the thing where Dylan and I talk about this a lot, like what is the ally identity? This seems like something that we can't say, oh hi, I'm an ally. Like that doesn't seem like the right approach here. So we did what you'd do when anyone would ask you this, and we Googled how to be an ally. And the thing that we realized is, we have a lot of ideas about what that means, and we've heard from some of our friends and peers on what that means, how to be supportive. But for the most part, we have no idea what we're doing. So we do know one thing though. We are very certain of one thing, and that is that we have made a lot of mistakes. So one of the things we want to talk about was all of our mistakes. So here's a short history of Dylan and Harper's hiring mistakes. You guys ready? So long ago, this is us long ago, let's talk about team one. Our beards were shorter, actually. I just noticed that. That was back when I acted like I knew how to shave. So team one, let's talk about team one. How many here know Threadless? Good number of people. Okay, so Threadless is a really great company. Obviously, crowdsourced t-shirts, really exciting stuff, and especially because it started in like 2000, so it was really innovative, doing some really neat stuff. I joined in 2005-ish. I think you joined in 2007, 8. Really exciting time. We did not do very well. Let's talk about the team. So, number one, 100% male tech team. That sounds pretty familiar in many cases, especially during this time. We were just like, yeah. Also, we put ourselves in a separate room. We alienated ourselves from the company culture. And third, we hired people that looked all exactly the same. In fact, we kind of looked like a metal band, which is not something a tech team should aspire to. This is what I like to call this the bro city. We were definitely bro city. And just to show you how bad it was, we had this email list that we made the entire company email called TAD. Guess what TAD stands for? Tech Awesome Dudes. I have no idea what we were doing. This was terrible. So we quit around 2009. That was great. It was a really good experience. We learned a lot. We actually, when I left, one of the things that Dylan and I talked about was this problem about how do we hire more people that look different? How do we hire more women? Anyone else besides this monoculture that we had accidentally created. And if you catch me after, we could talk a little bit more about that monoculture and how terrible it was. But we didn't learn enough. So move forward a little bit to team two. This is probably the reason that many of us, or many people want to hear us talk about what we've done. This is Obama for America 2012. This is a really fun thing. So Michael Slaby, who is on, I think, the left there, and he was a CTO in 2008. I was CTO in 2012. I always like to joke that the CTO in 2016 may be a homeless person. But the thing about this was, he found me and was like, Harper, we need a real engineer. And then I was like, yeah. And they're like, we want someone to be CTO. And I was like, yeah. I think they wanted someone that looked like the TV version of that thing, more so than they wanted someone that actually could do these things. And so we built this team. It was a really great team. You may notice something here about this team. It's all a bunch of dudes. There are a handful of people that were not dudes, but for the most part, this is a bunch of dudes. The thing about this is this was a complicated thing for us because we tried. There was a mandate that came down and they said, look guys, you have to make the team look like America. And America doesn't look like that. unless you're on Duck Dynasty or whatever. Sorry, Dylan. But America doesn't look like us. It looks like y'all. It looks like all of us. It looks like the internet. So we have to find those people. So we tried, right? But we failed. And the thing is, we have all these excuses, and this is one of the things that was hard for us to write. All the excuses that we had for this time, right? Lots and lots of excuses. They're all excuses. But when we look back at this, there was no excuse for not hiring a lot of people that didn't look like us. The thing was, we didn't actually try. We didn't take the time, we didn't put in the effort, and we didn't try. Luckily we won, or there'd be a completely different story, and then also luckily we were fired. Everyone was fired, not just us. On Thursday after Election Day, they just kind of fired us and erased our laptops and said, go somewhere else. This is a good experience for us because we got to think a lot. We got to really think about what have we done. We got a lot of feedback from some really strong people that were in our network about how we had not hired the right people, how we could have tried a little harder and maybe had more representation from women or people of color. It was an opportunity to be really reflective on what we did. And here's something that actually kind of came out of nowhere that was really depressing. There was a lot of press after the campaign about myself, about Dylan, and a lot of times they focused on the beards or this hipster look, which, you know, as obviously a hipster, I love being called a hipster. And actually, I always joke that once you're called a hipster in national press, you just kind of own it. So you're like, fuck it, I'm a hipster, yeah, whatever. But the thing about the beards, though, was really a bummer, is they focused on these beards. We always heard that, you know, beards were the reason we got beards. And then we were like, well, this is, you know, going back to this feedback we got, this is only going to help alienate more people from the type of teams we were trying to build. And so then we actually actively start talking to reporters who were talking about this and saying, look, just don't mention the beards. If you could, you can talk about anything. You can talk about how successful we were, how we fucked up about this or that. Don't mention the beards, because that's the one part of this article that is absolutely, the one part of the story that is absolutely specific gender. So we tried to be deliberate, and we could have done a lot differently, and we thought about what we could have done. So comes to Team 3, and that's modest. In 2013, we started our own company, Dylan and I. I'm the CEO, Dylan's the CTO, and that means that we have no excuses. This is us. It's no one else to help us, just us.
I'm going to be way less fun, so just prepare yourself for that. So, we learned something from Team 1, we learned some more from Team 2, and going into Team 3, we had to sort of take all of these things, all these learnings, and sort of condense them into changing the way that we do things. So the first thing that we had to do was actually hire differently. So what that meant for me was that we didn't need to just hire masters, because the way that we thought about hiring most of the time before that is like, I need someone that's a master at that, I need someone that's the best that there is at that, and we'd go down to the white dude store and we'd find a white dude and hire them. So instead, what we wanted to do was grow masters, and it's as much about growing our perception of what a master is than it is about actually like growing people into the role. But in order to do that, we really had to fix our hiring process. So what that meant is that we sat down and like sort of deconstructed what a master is, and sort of turned that into what are the things that we need to optimize for in this role. So we optimize for people that think creatively and constructively, people that learn, because hiring somebody that's really, really good at something but can't learn anything else, they're useless outside of that role. And as a team of like 6 or 8 or 20, you need people that can do a lot of different things. We needed to optimize for people that can communicate. Having just the two of us know what's going on doesn't help. Having people that can work together to solve problems is really what we need. And that's more of a master than just having one person that might be able to do something really, really well. So, taking all those things, we figured out how to test those things in the interview. So, I sat down and I was like, all right, how can I take these things that we want to optimize for and test for those things? So we put together what is, I think, a pretty awesome technical interview. So first, they come in and they talk with an engineer and a non-engineer about a problem that we're trying to solve, so that we can make sure that people can sort of talk tech and also talk to normal people. And then after that, they pair with one of our engineers on adding a feature to our API. And it's oftentimes in a language that they don't know, Because it's not about seeing how well they know a language or how well they know algorithms or anything like that, because I know how to use Google too. But it's really about figuring out how they can work with a team to solve problems together. And then, so after that, they then pair with another one of our engineers on reviewing code to figure out how they can, one, sort of get dropped in and work with someone to make sure that they can find what the problem is and see if the solution is good, and communicate not only with the person that they're pairing with, but also with the person that wrote the code and the rest of the team. And then after that, that's sort of the nod to comfort. In whatever language they're the most comfortable in, they pair with one of our engineers again on solving an open source issue in that language. So sort of giving them the opportunity to be the teacher. So it really is like, through these 4 things, we get to exercise all these things that go into what builds a great master. So I did this, I felt like the smartest man in the world. I was like, this is the best interview process I've ever heard of, it's great. And so we deployed that, and we had a bunch of people interview, and it was great. And at the end of it, we asked for feedback. And half the time people were like, yeah, that was great. And then we started to get a couple people that were like, that was intimidating as hell. And I was like, oh, well, that's not something that I'm trying to optimize for. I don't actually care if you can deal with being hugely intimidated. So we took that out. Everything that I just said about what I'm looking for and all that, I walk through every candidate before they do their interview and say, listen, here's exactly what's going to happen. I don't care if you know Python at all. I want to know how you can communicate. I want to know how you can work with people to do this. And we added that to the beginning, and all of a sudden, all of the intimidation went away, which was great. Now the feedback that we get is that it's generally good. So, awesome. We also found that we had to work differently. A couple parts to this. One is onboarding. So part of sort of changing our idea of what a master is making sure that we can get people effective quickly. So we do a lot of cross-team work, having people that are on one team work on another team so that they get sort of introed into a new code base or a new project or whatever often. And it's painful. But the more that we do it, the more the onboarding gets better. And the more people are able to just spin up quickly, and it empowers people to actually be masters sooner. We also had to change how we work to be more open. So we have, on the code side, work in progress pull requests, where as soon as somebody starts coding something, it's out there for the whole team, literally the whole team, to give feedback on. So that does 2 things. One, with the constant feedback, people get better at giving feedback so that it's actually constructive instead of just tearing people down. Because if you just do a code review once every month or something, you look at it and you're like, that shit, and that shit, fix it all. But if you're doing it all the time, it's like, well, this is a better way that we've done something here. Because not only are you giving it, you're also receiving it constantly. And that sort of underscores the shared goals that we have as a team. Tied in with that, less on the code side, is we built this searchable history of communication, both through GitHub and through Slack and Google Groups and whatever it was, where everybody can find out how we made decisions, why we made decisions, how we came to some point. And that serves to just, again, get anybody that is starting out to reduce the time that it takes for them to become masters, which makes it easier to hire people that don't fit that mold that I was thinking beforehand. Another big thing that we had to change is making a safe space where we work. Harper mentioned the room that we had at Threadless, which was called like a tech cave at some point. It was it was dude bro-y. So we started out from the get-go to try to build a culture that's around learning and being, having a constructive team that works together and learns. And from day one, we had part of our core values is diversity, not just numbers, but actually like sharing the power as a core value. And still, we just completely fucked it up. Our first office, which we weren't thinking about it, and we were like, let's get an office, it'll be great, and we'll have everybody together, and then 6 months later, it looked like a frat house.
I had some really cool posters of bombs exploding. Very welcoming.
So the important part about this is that we needed to have that feedback loop. So we ask for feedback from the team constantly, which is good. And the important part about this is actually empowering the entire team to give the feedback, so it's not always just like, hello, token woman, tell me, is this welcome? But like actually having the whole team thinking about it and being like, do we really want to put that bomb on the wall? Like, is that really what we want to do?
They did veto that, which I was like, what? It's so cool, and then I happened to miss it. Weird.
So the biggest change that we had to do, because all those things are good, like, you know, changing the way that we hire and changing the way that we work so that we're more effective and more welcoming and more like actually bringing everybody up. Like, those are super important things. But it's also really easy to be like, and as the founders, all of our little peons do these things. So the thing that was a little bit harder on a deeper level was challenging ourselves constantly. So part of that is actually hiring people that challenge our opinions. The way that I think about this is like, it's easy enough to be like, I'm committed to diversity. I have 3 other people. They look and act pretty much the same as me, but I can check off a little box and feel like there's diversity. What we wanted to create was an actual culture of complementary people, not just people that are similar enough that they can fit in with our culture. So the way that we did that is that we actually have to empower the people who are different from us. One of our first hires, this amazing woman that we hired, pretty much the only thing that we needed, like our entire job description was, we need somebody who will tell us to fuck off. Because we were rolling off the campaign and everyone was like, you guys are so smart. And we were like, we need somebody who's like, you're an idiot. And so that was, you know, fit the bill. So that sort of leads into the last thing that we've done, which has worked really, really well, which is hiring a lot of strong women. And I've changed this slide back and forth a bunch of times where it at one point said hire strong women as peers, which I think is super important, but it's also like up and down the entire org, we have women who are just incredibly powerful, and it's nice to have that everywhere. So, Team 3. This is what we look like now. It's better. It's better than Teams 1 and 2 in a lot of ways. It's still not good. There's a lot of hard work. We've spent a lot of time thinking about it. It's still not good. So we know that there's, you know, we're sort of on this journey towards making things better. And it's good. I think it's really positive. But it's also incredibly important to remember that work is never going to be done. It's not like we're like, okay, cool, well, we've solved that. We have a welcoming environment, and we're out. So we constantly have to be working towards making that better. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.